Hey everybody. So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the start of my journey. So long time ago, obviously I was born in a boy's body. I grew up and I spent 57 years of my life being a cisgendered alpha male. All of that time, I was aware that something wasn't right. When I was young, as a child, I got into trouble at school. The other students were not kind to me. I grew up in a agricultural type of an environment with a lot of farm kids. I was a farm kid. And through that, I got to be, obviously I learned to fight because I had to survive. I was gentler, I was kinder, I was softer than the other students. I was more effeminate. And ultimately, I went through my life living that way. Eventually, I started to realize what was going on. I knew that transition was possible, but I didn't understand it. And everybody telling me all the time that there would be something wrong with anybody who would do this, or that it was a sign of other things. So I never did even start transition. Then later on, here comes the internet. And through the internet, I actually learned that there were other people like me in the world. So I did a lot of research. And of course, being and living as an alpha male with, I was married with a wife, I still am. And she had a prescription for estrogen. So somebody had given me some spirolactinin, and I started taking the spirolactinin, and I used her estrogen, which was a gel that I would rub a squirt of this stuff on my leg once a day. Ultimately, I realized that using her prescription wasn't really going to do me very well. So, over the long run at least, so I went and saw a psychologist who specializes in transgender people. She actually identified that I was indeed transgender and wrote the recommendation for a doctor to prescribe me with estrogen and progesterone and the right hormones. So within a period of about 2 months, I had gone from my first meeting with the psychologist to meeting with an endocrinologist. The endocrinologist had the report from the psychologist and prescribed me with estrogen and a form of chemical progesterone, as well as a prescription for spirolactinin. The estrogen that I was prescribed at that time was estrogen patches. So essentially you would stick a patch on your hip or on your tummy or on your buttock or someplace like that. And then you'd wear the patch for a few days, then you would change the patch to keep the estrogen input into your body at a fairly regular pace. I found that the spirolactinin was not good. It did not get along with me very well. And I started getting leg aches, and I'd wake up in the middle of the night with the worst cramps in my legs, which at that time I didn't really understand was from the spiro. The estrogen the progesterone I was prescribed was a chemical form. And I kept hearing about deep vein thrombosis and how the progesterone could be the cause of that. At some point there, I developed community. And it was one of my sisters who had taken me under her thumb. To this day, I refer to her as Big Sister. And I realized that there were different ways of controlling my testosterone levels. So in the process of all this, the endocrinologist I was seeing decided not to treat trans people anymore, and he dropped all of his trans patients. Within a period of about 24 hours, he had had appointments with all of us and told us we were all without a endocrinologist. I broke down in his office and I cried, and ultimately he recommended me or referred me to another doctor. And so when I got my first appointment with the other doctor, I asked, she's asked me what I could do for her. I said, I told her about transition, and which she knew. And I told her, first of all, that I needed her to keep me safe through the process. And I told her that I wanted to switch up my drugs from the patches to injectable estradiol, and go from the chemical progesterone to Prometrium 100, which Big Sister had actually told me was the only two drugs she took, and her testosterone levels were rock bottom. Now, we'll talk about all this in other videos. I'm giving you sort of the Reader's Digest version here. The spirolactinone, I essentially just stopped taking it. What I found over time was that the combination of Prometrium 100, one capsule a day, along with the weekly injection of estradiol, was more than enough to keep my testosterone levels at rock bottom. So I have been essentially living with estrogen and Prometrium now for 5 years. My testosterone levels are very low. In an upcoming video, I'll show you one of my blood tests so you can see what I'm talking about. And from here on, I'm essentially staying at very low testosterone levels, absolutely acceptable to me, or would be acceptable to anybody else. I did go through some serious illness for a few years, but I'm back at it. So I'm now looking at things like facial feminization surgery, breast augmentation. Although the hormones I'm on have given me very decent sized breasts, they're still not, after 5 years, they're still not really big enough to be, in proportion to my body. So I'll get breast augmentation and probably liposuction and other things, maybe some butt augmentation. So this has been a process, and I'm now at 62 years old. Here I am getting ready to complete my transition. And this is my goal, is to share this with people as I go through it. Anyways, I hope you like my video. If you do, please feel free to like and subscribe. Very much would be appreciated on my part, and I think it helps the algorithm somewhat. Always good to get the views. So have a wonderful day, and may your gender dysphoria become gender euphoria. And I will see you all in my next video. Love each and every one of you. Bye for now.